On June 11th of this year, I sat down in this chair and told you that JJK was coming back sooner than a lot of you anticipated. See,
thank God JJK is back, but I hope you guys enjoy this video on Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3.
in that moment, we had no information about when the Culling Games was coming out, but I used the time charts and previous release dates of other seasons of JJK to extrapolate that we should be expecting an announcement of JJK's third season's release date in either late July or August. And as apparently JJK has a vested interest in me not losing face, just 2 days ago, on August 30th, they dropped the Culling Games first real trailer. And with this first real trailer, we also got an announcement of the release date, which is January 2026. Yes, that's right, JJK is coming out alongside Freerin Season 2, the final season of Fire Force, and Hell's Paradise Season 2. I never expected to tell anybody to get excited for the wintertime, but get excited for the wintertime. Now, in that video I released back in June, my math did technically bring me to the conclusion that JJK's third season was going to be coming out in the fall 2025 season. You know, the one that starts in October. Because for as long as MAPPA has been making serious projects, they never dropped two major projects in the same season. And Hell's Paradise Season 2 has been slotted for January 2026 for months now. But it appears as though MAPPA's relatively light year in terms of animation, with really their only major projects being Chainsaw Man's Reze movie, Denshu, Bachiguri, and Lazarus, that they have the animation and work capacity to release two major projects in the second season of Hell's Paradise and the third season of JJK simultaneously. But now that we know when this third season of JJK is coming out, what is it going to cover? Is it going to be 24 episodes long like every other season of JJK? Or is it going to be truncated, abbreviated, to try and split the Culling Game into multiple different seasons? Well, unfortunately, it's beginning to seem as though that's most likely our reality. See, conventional wisdom would tell you that this season of JJK is going to be 24 episodes long. And therefore, as it's going to be 24 episodes long, it should cover about 70 chapters of content, as the previous 48 episodes of JJK split over two 24-episode seasons has covered about 137 chapters of the manga, meaning that this season of JJK should probably end off somewhere in the region of chapter 210 of the manga. And as chapter 207 has literally a perfect stopping point, which is Kenjaku coming face to face with an old friend for the first time in hundreds, if not thousands of years, this idea that this season, the third season of JJK, is gonna cover about 70 chapters makes perfect sense, especially when you consider the fact that—
Man, after watching that teaser, I can confidently say Season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen is going to be absolutely insane. The Culling Games arc already looks darker, crazier, and more intense than anything we've seen so far. They really went all out with the animation for JJK. Every frame feels like it has weight, and the atmosphere just screams chaos within the Jujutsu Kaisen anime.
JJK itself is about 270 chapters long, which means that there would be just enough space for a 24-episode fourth final season. But there's a problem. See, because this season isn't just being called the Culling Games arc, it's being called the Culling Games arc Part 1, which rather justifiably has raised some eyebrows. See, the Culling Games arc is one of the longest arcs in all of JJK. In fact, it is the longest arc in JJK, totaling 63 manga chapters, 5 chapters longer than the Shibuya Arc. And therefore, this idea that it may need to be broken into 2 separate seasons isn't that crazy of an idea. I mean, mind you, there's still 22 chapters of content between where Season 2 of JJK's anime left off and the beginning of the Culling Games arc. And if JJK did run for 24 episodes and ended somewhere in the region of chapter 207, technically we still wouldn't be done with the Culling Games arc. So if this 24-episode season of anime ended somewhere around chapter 208, would we consider the beginning of the fourth and final season, which wraps up the last 15 or so chapters of the Culling Games arc, the second part of the Culling Game arc? Or is JJK priming us for something that a lot of other very popular anime have been doing recently, which is splitting their 24-episode seasons into cores? I mean, this is something that we're seeing time and time again nowadays with very popular anime. Sakamoto Days split its first season into 2 cores that released only a matter of months from each other. Dandadan did the same, dropping 12 episodes what felt like 6 months ago, and now once again being back. And Bleach has been doing some variation of this for years, splitting its TOIBW or 1000-Year Blood War arc into 4 cores. So is JJK shifting away from its 24-episode a season style to adopt the 12-episode 1 core at a time style being being popularized by other major current anime, or are they planning on sticking with the model that they've ran with for the past 5 years? Well, unfortunately, we don't really know. See, while yes, we've been given a release date for the 3rd season of JJK, we weren't told how many episodes it was gonna be. And as the Culling Games don't technically start until chapter 159, if JJK were to continue with its usual manga burn rate of about 2.8 chapters per episode of anime, there would pretty perfectly be about 8 episodes in the Yuji Extermination and Perfect Preparation arcs that lead up to the Culling Games arc. But if JJK does try to adopt this one core at a time model, this means we would really only get about 4 episodes into the Culling Games arc, which would be about 11 or so manga chapters. And thus we would end this 12 episode core 1 season around chapter 170 of the manga. And as the first 15 chapters or so of the Culling Game revolve around the Tokyo #1 Culling Games colony, the arc could technically end when the manga tries to switch over to the Sendai colony. But this feels like a weird place to stop at best. See, the problem with this core model is that sometimes you get seasons ending at really weird spots, like the ending of season 1 of Dandadan, which just ends with Okarun and Gigi staring into a hole filled with talismans. And while this didn't necessarily hinder the massive success of Dandadan, it did leave a weird taste in a lot of people's mouths.
You know what's wild? I was just thinking of this. As hyped as I am for the Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 Culling Games arc, I can't help but wonder where the JJK anime is actually going to leave off. And honestly, I think there's a real chance it ends on one of those brutal cliffhangers that drives the fandom crazy. The Culling Games is such a massive arc, packed with non-stop battles, insane reveals, and some of the most pivotal moments in the series, that fitting it neatly into a single season might not even be possible.